We're all looking for the good life. The question is, what is the good life? And we're journeying together through this Good Life series, looking at the book of Ecclesiastes. And today, we're hitting chapter 2. And we're looking at how we toil under the sun. We work so hard for material things. Wealth and consumerism just consumes our life. And we think that the more we have, the harder we work to get more that we have, it will bring us more fulfillment. It will bring us the good life. The problem is all those things are just a vapor. It's a hevel, if you will, as we've seen in the word in the Hebrew in the book of Ecclesiastes. It just all goes away. It all fades away. So it really becomes where he says in chapter 1, everything is meaningless. And what does it mean that everything is meaningless? Are all these material things really meaningless? Somehow I find satisfaction in some of these things. I enjoy some of these things. And here's what we need to learn about the wisdom from the book of Ecclesiastes when it comes to this under the sun life, is that those things can bring us joy, and they should bring us joy. Material things can bring us great joy. The joy of seeing your football team score a touchdown, the joy of owning something that can bring us some temporal satisfaction where we brings a smile to our face to see something take place. Like, all these things are great when these material possessions can provide us with a lot of joy and enjoyment and happiness, but they cannot bring us fulfillment. And see, the issue is, in the wisdom of what this chapter is trying to show us, is that we look to material possessions, we look to wealth, we look to consuming these things and owning things and having things to bring us fulfillment, to give us the good life. And that's putting something on material possessions and on wealth and on our work and on our accomplishments and on all of these material things that they cannot deliver. They cannot deliver us fulfillment. Hence why we look for the good life and all these things, but we don't ever experience the good life. It's all temporary, and therefore that's why the author says it's all meaningless. Look with me at chapter 2. It says this, it says that I hated all my toil. And starting in verse 18, I hated all my toil in which I toil under the sun, seeing that I must leave it to the man who will come after me. He's saying, look, I've worked so hard my whole life, and then what happens? I leave it to someone who comes after me. And who knows whether he will be wise in verse 19 or he'll be a fool. You don't even know the guy coming behind you that's going to carry on the work that you've worked so hard, the wealth that you so accumulated that you think you're going to leave to somebody. You don't even know if that person's going to be wise or a fool with it. So he says, because sometimes a person has toiled with wisdom and knowledge, it says in verse 21, and skill must leave everything to be enjoyed by someone who did not even toil for it. So you may work hard your entire life to get all these possessions, and you work so hard, but for what? To leave it to someone who's going to enjoy it that didn't even work for it? You see that this is all futile, and we see that is when you try to find fulfillment in these things, it's not going to happen. So he says, just enjoy it, because this is vanity, and vanity is a great evil. And down in verse 25, we get to the crux of it all. For apart from him, who can eat or who can have enjoyment? For the one who pleases him, God has given wisdom and knowledge and joy. But to the sinner, he has given the busyness of gathering and collecting, only to give to the one who pleases God. This is vanity and striving after the wind, or chasing after the wind. And so here's what he is trying to tell us today, and here's how we can find out what the good life is and how we can experience the good life. It's not going to be accumulating wealth, possessions, and working hard. He says if you're going to do all that and you're going to leave it to someone who's going to enjoy it and they're not even going to work for it, what's the point? That's why he concludes everything is meaningless. So the good life can't be found in that. Joy can be had in that. So he says enjoy your work. Enjoy the possessions that you have. Enjoy these things that come, but don't look to them to fulfill you. Instead, he says fulfillment is going to come from him. It's going to come from him. Look at what it says at the very end at this chapter. We just read it. For to the one who pleases him, God has given wisdom and knowledge and joy. He's given us joy. God's joy is what is eternal, because God is eternal. This world and everything in it is going to pass away. All these buildings that are behind me, the skyscrapers, all these people, they're working so hard to achieve so much, and it's all just going to pass away, but God is eternal. So he says the wisdom comes from seeking after him, because he is where our joy is lying. He is where our fulfillment is lying. He is the good life. He defines it. He is the good life, and he gives it to us. So we need to seek after him.